Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks. Sampler video series of videos I've been doing for a little while now. Go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat stuff, I drink stuff, then, folks, I'm going to talk about the stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not going to lie, I just got through reviewing the full flavored version of this, so we'll see how this one goes. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there and try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm going to yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck. Whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I'm wearing grody work clothes. Typically, when I'm inside the truck and I'm wearing grody work clothes, that means I was on my way home from work and I found some shit to review for you. That is definitely the case today. I got off work a little while ago, and, work was work. I'm running around, it's hot, I'm sweaty, bleh. So when I got off work, I'm like, well, I want to go get something to drink, man. So I hopped on out to the Speedway by where I live, and the thing about Speedways, if you have any near you, you probably already know at this point, but they're owned by 7-Eleven these days. 7-Eleven bought them out a few years ago. So that means that we get 7-Eleven products inside the Speedways. One of said products that is part of the 7-Eleven line is their Boom 7 Select Replenish line of sports drinks. This one, I just got through reviewing. This is their strawberry watermelon flavor. Ooh. I don't know if it's new or not, but I don't remember ever seeing it before. And wouldn't you know it, just so happens, boom! Zero sugar version. Sure. At this point, I've made a little bit of a thing of trying both full-flavored and zero sugar stuff, so we'll get in. Let's get a thing for a thing. It looks like this, and we'll go, ha 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 ha. Try out the zero sugar version. Usually, with the Replenish stuff, I actually do the zero sugar stuff. I like some of their, the cherry, the grape, the fruit punch, all pretty solid, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Definitely has less of a waft to it than the full flavored. Ooh. I like that. I like that. I was about to say something, but I want to go in for another sip before I make that declaration. Okay, I'm gonna toss it out there. I like this more than I like the full flavored version. Here's why. I like the full flavored version for what it is. It's fine. It's a mix of strawberry and watermelon flavors. But the watermelon flavor that it's mixed with is that unnaturally amped up watermelon flavor that personally I am not a huge fan of. Like, I'll go with it with some things, but it's not my... I like watermelon because it's a nice mellow flavor. I don't need it to be, turned up to 11. It can just be watermelon flavor. With the full flavored version, both of the flavors are definitely amped up to an extent where not only do I not enjoy the watermelon aspect as much as I would like, but it also goes over there and takes on an extra tanginess that personally I find to be slightly abrasive. I don't mind it, having a little bit of a kick or something, but it's the tail end of the full flavored one is almost sour at the end, and that should never be the case when you're talking about the time I'm doing this, it's almost the 4th of July, so, where was I going with that? My brain just skipped it. Frazzin' fireworks. But no, the amped up watermelon flavor, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, yeah, so that was definitely a point of contention that I had with the full flavored one. The zero sugar one it's dialed back in the flavor, which normally would be annoying to me, but because I already kind of prefer that somewhat less punchy watermelon flavor, it actually kind of fits more what I wanted out of this. I didn't want something with a sour note at the end. This, it does have a little bit of that tartness at the end, but it's much more subdued, and overall, it's just a less thrusting experience on me. That's an interesting adjective to use to describe it, but I'm sticking with it. And mind you, it still has some of that amped up watermelon aspect to it, for sure, but it's just more subdued. And I like that in this instance. I like the fact that not only does it afford me the opportunity to have something a little bit closer to the watermelon flavor that I personally prefer, but on top of that, when you do get a little bit of that tartness at the end, it creates a nice little contrast. You know, it doesn't feel abrasive, it feels like a nice little edge at the end. So yeah, I actually think that I like this a fair amount more than the full flavored one. And honestly, I think it just drinks better because it doesn't have so much punchy flavor. It tastes more refreshing to me. I really like that. What do you use for... I know I've looked it up in the past, but I'm trying to see what... Sucralose. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and as far as the zero sugar aspect is concerned, you might be able to taste a little something as far as that, but like not really that much. In general, it just kind of tastes like a less punchy version of the full flavored version. But it's still a nice blend of strawberry and watermelon flavors. I will say, to the full flavored version's benefit, I think that you get a stronger distinction with the flavors because they are punchier, so it's easier to sort of, you know, call them out. With this one, because it's a little bit more subdued, they blend a little bit more, you know, in such a way that it's a little bit harder to piece them out. But I like the way that it blends. So, 2 questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? Well, I already said that I would get the full flavored one and that I would recommend it. So, this one, absolutely and absolutely. For me personally, I like it better. I think that, like I said, I just think the flavors are blended better. Well, maybe not blended better, but like with the watermelon, with them not trying to be so overly punchy, I just think it works better. You know, I like the way it tastes. It's more refreshing. I like that it, you know, I'm allowed to enjoy the tart aspect of it instead of sort of looking at it as something to be weary of. Yeah, I think this is one of those instances where dialing it back a little bit really helped it overall. So I would definitely get it again. In fact, like I said, I tend to prefer the zero sugar ones anyway. This is definitely an instance where I'm just going to get the zero sugar version. If I'm recommending it though, I mean, you may very well prefer the full flavored version. I think it depends on what you expect out of that watermelon flavor. If you like that amped up flavor, go with the full flavored one. If you're like me, where maybe you prefer a more subdued watermelon flavor, I think the zero sugar one works nicely. And I think the flavors in general just work nicely together, the strawberry and the watermelon. I don't feel like the zero sugar aspect of it is impeding the experience. It's certainly not noteworthy to any significant degree. It's just a nice, tasty, zero sugar sports drink. So, and because it's a 7-Eleven brand, it's typically on sale and, you know, fairly cheap. So, 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, stupendous rest of your year. Folks, go over there, have yourselves a truly surprisingly tasty, zero sugar-tastic rest of your life. Because, hey man, sometimes you get a win. Final 2 things. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do if you can't do it all the time? I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Now, folks, it's not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. When we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back. Try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives. Hopefully, do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, are there any zero sugar drinks out there that you prefer to the full flavored version? And no fair if you're like my buddy Dan, where you just drink zero sugar shit all the time anyway. Because that's his thing, you know. And that's fine. I'm not trying, you know, hey, he does him, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking if you're more like myself, where you're much more of a distinctly full flavored, preference person. But maybe there's some stuff every now and again where you're like, no, I like the zero sugar version. Because obviously I've got this one. I wouldn't say I prefer it, but I will say I do actually like the zero sugar Pepsi quite a bit. In fact, I did a review of it a couple years ago. You can watch that review if you're interested. But I'm definitely like, that's one where I will just actively get it sometimes, just because. But let me know.